All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Thursday. I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good mood because, New Year's Eve around the corner. And it's always fun in Las Vegas. I don't think there's any other place I'd rather be than in Las Vegas for New Year's Eve. And we got some great sports coming up this weekend. I don't know if you'd call great Raiders backup quarterback against San Francisco backup, but we got a big UNLV basketball game on Saturday. They're playing San Diego State at 1 p.m. The Knights are at home at noon. I wish those games weren't at the same time. I'm going to have to pick and choose. I hate doing that. But what better person to talk about the local sports landscape? We're not going to get into politics with Ron Futrell because we always yell.
Wait,
no, we can't do that. The man
we
hit the
do
ledge.
yell. This is not the Ben Shapiro show.
Yeah. But
I used that joke already.
Don't compare me to that weasel.
Wow, you should be so fortunate.
There are a few people that I disagree with on a lot of political issues, but I am still very good friends with, and we never take it personal. You're one of them. I would say Brett Raymer is another one.
Oh, is that right?
We can yell at each other, and then at the end of the day, we'll hug each other and say we love each other in a very heterosexual way.
Yeah, watch us play golf with each other sometime, and you'll see that. It's like
fun playing golf with Ron too.
We're going back and forth on this and that, and then you're kicking my butt on the golf course.
But one thing we do agree with. Tell me if you disagree with this.
Okay.
99% of the time, it appears as though we agree on anything and everything sports related.
Right? Yes, and I don't know your take on the Derek Carr thing. I hope we disagree.
We'll talk about it.
I hope we disagree on this because it's more fun.
All right. Well, here's my take on Derek Carr.
Better radio.
He is not a top 10 quarterback. I don't even think he's a top 15 quarterback. He has had a terrible year. I don't put it all on him. I also put it on the play calling and the coaching. But I'm very angry at Derek Carr. Not just because he's performed like hell this year in a bad way, but because he's left the team. It is unless we learn that there is a personal situation with his family, somebody's sick, which is totally understandable, but I haven't heard that. You are still getting paid a lot of money. Your teammates have always backed you when you have sucked this year. And yet he says, I'm just going to go home with my football. That is a character issue, and I am very, very disappointed in him. And I've always said Derek Carr's a good guy. He's a good family man. He's a religious man. I have never said anything personal until now. This is BS. He should be with this team. He better be on that sideline because he's still getting paid. And to me, you're being a bad teammate when you do this. What are your thoughts?
Okay, I'm glad we disagree on some stuff here.
Okay.
First of all, this is no way to treat Derek Carr after 9 years in the NFL with the Raiders. Always dedicated to the Raiders, always wants to be a Raider, always the Raiders are his team, and he wants to stay there throughout his whole career. You remember all those interviews. I'll get to him, the leaving the team part, because I believe that was more mutual than just Derek Carr saying, I'm out of here. And his explanation was, I would be a distraction to the team, which I think he would be, quite frankly, that you don't need him there at practice. He's just there. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh McDaniels, we don't know this, might have said, you know what, you don't really need to come back. There's no need. Let's just go ahead and mutually split now, which he did. He split. He left.
You think Josh McDaniels said that?
I don't know. I don't know that he didn't.
All right, listen.
I don't know.
If Josh McDaniels said that, then that's one thing. I'm assuming he didn't say that.
Okay, let's even say he didn't.
Yeah.
Still, the politics of this situation, the politics stink with all of this and what's going on here with the Raiders. Certainly, as soon as you heard Derek Carr was benched, we knew Derek Carr was done.
Yeah.
With the team. He's not getting benched for a couple of games, and then they're looking forward to next season with him back.
Okay, but Ron, here's where I disagree. I disagree here. I agree with what you said so far, but whether you're benched or not, you're still getting paid. You're still on contract. Isn't it your duty to be a good teammate? Forget about the coaching situation and the politics. These teammates have stuck by him. Your best friend is out there in Devontae Adams. The guys that you went to war with, isn't it your duty to wear that jersey for, if not the coaching staff and the fans, for your teammates and be a good teammate? I disagree with you. I don't think he should be at home.
I'll make the argument that the best thing he could do is leave.
Why?
Because he would be a distraction out there.
Why?
Jared Stidham goes out and throws a pick or two or struggles and sucks, and Derek Carr, number 4, is sitting there on the sidelines, and his teammates
That's
are
on
going.
The coaching staff.
His teammates then are going, why the hell aren't you out there? Well, we know why he's not out there is because they don't want him to get hurt and have it cost them an additional $35 million more than the five, and I'm rounding those numbers up, the $5 million they're going to have to pay him by February 15th. So, no, I think he would be a distraction. I think at practice he would be a distraction. In the locker room, he's a distraction. This is I can't believe I'm saying this. This is Jared Stidham's team.
I can't believe you're saying that either.
I might want Jason Statham instead of Jared Stidham. Let's go. This is Jason Statham's team, and he needs to take that team and make something good happen because I've seen his movies, and that dude's tough, man. He makes stuff happen.
So listen, I get your point. Okay, I think you can make that argument, and you did eloquently. I get your point. I think where we disagree is you talk about Derek Carr, the great teammate. If it's a distraction, then those players are unprofessional because it shouldn't be a distraction. You're going out there to do your job. I think from a fan's perspective, you want to see Derek Carr at least out there on the sidelines. I understand the Raiders' position. By the way, I think it was the right decision. I don't think he's been mistreated. I disagree with you there as well. He has had every opportunity to succeed with the Raiders. I understand he's had multiple different coaches. The man hasn't won a playoff game. He doesn't seem to win games when it really matters. He has had a horrible year. He's had every opportunity, and he has failed. He has failed as a man with a $120 million contract. He is overpaid. Is he still an above-average quarterback? Sure. I think we would both agree on that.
Yeah, I'm going to put him in 12, somewhere around there. I don't know if he's top
after
10.
This year, I don't know about that.
But this is a guy who, you mentioned multiple coaches. He's had 6 and 9 seasons. He's had 6 and 9 seasons. He was completing 68% of his passes throughout his career up until this season. Josh McDaniels comes in. He's now completing 60% of his passes. So Josh McDaniels has taken, he's taken Derek Carr, a pretty good quarterback, and last year I would say top 10 and maybe over his career top 10 quarterback, and he has taken him and made him worse, which I'm putting more of this on Josh McDaniels than I am putting it on Derek Carr.
Don't disagree with you at all. This is where we agree. A lot of this responsibility also needs to go on Josh McDaniels. Ron, I couldn't agree with you more, but you know why it's not? Because the owner of this team, Mark Davis, is not going to fire him.
Oh, no,
so
I got you. He's doing a fantastic job.
In fact, I'm even going to go.
Not only not fired him, he's doing a fantastic job.
I'm even going to go a step further, and I'm going to ask you this question. If you had the choice right now, get rid of Derek Carr or Josh McDaniels, which would it be?
Both.
That wasn't my. That's not fair. That's not my question. I agree with you.
No,
I agree with you. If you had to, but if you had to choose one or the other, which one would you choose?
You would have to choose Derek Carr, and here's why: because he's been there longer, he's had more opportunity, and 1 year is, you can argue, Denver Broncos won't argue this, but you got to get your coach more than 1 year to be able to try and put a system in there.
Fair enough.
I'm not convinced Josh McDaniels is going to be a long-term solution for the Raiders here. I think he created this problem. Oh, you want a conspiracy theory? Alex
Jones, here we go.
Oh, let's go, baby. This one I'm going to put on Josh Jacobs has sort of inspired this conspiracy theory.
Yep.
And if you saw him after the game against the Steelers, when he is saying in no uncertain terms, why the hell he used stronger words than that. He's a little pissed off. Why aren't we running the ball more in the second half in a freezing cold Pittsburgh?
Good question.
And they only ran the ball 5 times, I believe, in the second half.
Yeah.
And they had Derek Carr throwing the ball like crazy, and he threw his picks. Okay, I'm with Josh Daniels on this one, almost going conspiracy theory. Could Raiders management, when I'm talking management, I'm talking from Josh McDaniels on up, said, let's jack with Derek Carr a little bit, and let's put him in a situation, not a good cold weather quarterback by any stretch. Let's put him in this situation, and let's see him fail, and let's go what happens Monday, Tuesday morning next week, which we're in now. I know it's Thursday.
I don't think that's a conspiracy theory. I think there's probably some truth to that.
Yeah, that they... Yeah, which if it's true, then they threw a game.
Josh McDaniels.
If it's true, they threw a game.
Listen, I said that, and I shouldn't say I said it, but I asked that question 2 months ago.
And they threw the game to save $35 million. Now, you could argue that's a good thing. Okay, you're going to save money. Because now, okay, and the positive side of getting rid of Derek Carr, because, again, make no doubt about it, this is even though throughout all the news conference yesterday, it was Josh McDaniels saying, we want to give, we want, we want to give Jason Statham a chance.
It's all
it was Jason Statham, right? Is it?
Isn't there an actor named Jason Statham? I don't know.
Pretty good actor, man. Had some good movies.
Yeah.
So we want him to play quarterback, and this is about giving him the opportunity. Well, 5%, 10% of it is about giving Jared Stidham the chance to play quarterback for the Raiders. 95% of this is about saving $35 million, so the Raiders have the money, perhaps, to keep Josh Jacobs next year, because that would sort of be nice.
You think they re-sign Josh Jacobs?
Oh, they would love to.
So I just had Scott
They
Goldberg.
would love to re-sign him, but I don't know. If I'm Josh Jacobs, I'm saying screw you. I'm going somewhere else
See, that's
and
a
making
concern.
a ton
so
of money.
We just had Gully, Scott Goldbergson on. You know him, great guy. And
how's he doing, man?
He's doing great.
Is he loving life? He's in Ohio, yeah?
He is. He's doing very well.
Listen.
So we just talked about this very issue, and he made a good point. Well, there's a better chance they re-sign Josh Jacobs now because of salary cap space, assuming they get rid of Derek Carr, which they will. But you just made a good point on the other side of it. Josh Jacobs is pissed off, and he's frustrated. Does he really want to re-sign with the Raiders?
And he's going to make big free agent money this year. He's the biggest free agent running back this year.
Unbelievable year. Unbelievable year.
And so he's going to lead the league in rushing. And he's going to be able to go out there, test himself in the free agent waters. I don't blame him if he does.
Yeah.
This team is going to look a lot different next year than it looks now. And they're going to make a change of quarterback. Now, let's go back to the quarterback thing, or as you say, quarterback.
I made fun of that a lot on social media, by the way. I really am.
Good for them.
Yep.
Because it's East Coast Connecticut stuff, and bless you.
Yep.
For coming out west here and being brave enough to come out here and say quarterback. But that means because us on the West Coast, we're the ones who really know how to speak. Of course, right? Is that okay? It's LA stuff. Talk like an LA person. You know. Anyway. Where we're going with this, with the $35 million, where are they going to go with quarterback next year is the other question, because they are going to have a blank spot at quarterback next year, so they're going to have more money to go out there and get somebody. And every quarterback that you mention is going to have advantages and disadvantages. I haven't heard your take on this, and I haven't watched a whole lot of social media. I put Jimmy Garoppolo at the top of that list.
We just talked about that.
And that's going to be number one on their list because he's worked with him in New England, and there they do have quarterbacks. That's New England.
Quarterbacks.
Right?
Pronounce it right. Quarterbacks.
They park the car. They do have those. And Mark Wahlberg would like to see him here. Okay? There's another one, right?
He would.
So he's going to be playing for a coach that he knows.
Yep.
San Francisco has 3 quarterbacks. They don't need. They only need one.
Correct.
They got 3 of them now. Mr. Irrelevant, Brock Purdy. We're going to get to see him here in town. This weekend. So I put him at top of the list. I don't know what I put number 2. Is Aaron Rodgers a possibility? There's this guy named Devontae that he's had a pretty good career with.
So the 3 that I mentioned were Garoppolo, Rodgers, and Tom Brady. Mac Jones was somebody that Gully brought up. I don't want to see Mac Jones here.
No, I don't. Just because
I think Garoppolo is definitely the favorite. I think Tom Brady is right behind him. I don't see any reason why Brady wouldn't want to come here. Aaron Rodgers could be a long shot, but he gets reunited with Devontae Adams. I think Rodgers would certainly, if the contract was right, wouldn't have a problem playing in the silver and black either.
Well, they've also got a couple of quarterbacks in L.A.
They do.
Again, you're talking about Stafford coming back from that concussion that he had last year. Baker Mayfield has looked okay. I mean,
Baker Mayfield playing in Vegas. Wow.
He beat the Raiders, and they were able to beat Denver, a dying Denver team.
I don't think that would be a good sign.
Used to have a good defense. No, that's probably not a good sign. But if they spot somebody they like that they think they can work with and improve, and maybe Jared Stidham is the guy. Maybe he shows up these 2 games and does some remarkable things, and people go, they're going to have a draft pick that's going to be around 10 or 11. There's a few quarterbacks out there that they can pick. They're not going to get the mountaintop at USC. They're not going to be able to go that high, but there's some options out there for them now that they've got the 35.
But they got to make a decision soon, and I think I would say, here's what I think.
I hope they've already made it. I hope they've already worked.
Here's what I was going to say.
I'm not keen on Tom Brady.
When they got off to the horrible start the first 5-6 weeks of the season, remember Josh McDaniels was having closed-door meetings with Mark Davis. I believe they spoke about this very issue, and they knew early in the season that Derek Carr was not their guy and they were going to wheel and deal him at the end of the year. Do you agree with me? I think they knew they were doing this early.
Yes, which leads even better to my conspiracy theory, and I'll call it the spawned by Josh Jacobs conspiracy theory at the second half at Pittsburgh was we're going to take you down, and here's how we take you down.
Right.
And for the long term, it's better off for the Raiders, knowing that Derek Carr had signed that contract, that guaranteed contract that was, what, $130 million in that range, somewhere 122? 140 was okay. Where he'd signed this contract that had the big second-year option for the Raiders to bow out of it, and they're taking that option now, and they're bowing out of it, and they're going to have some money to be able to wheel and deal. Tom Brady's time has passed as for coming to Vegas. Now, if you've got a guy over there who runs the USC right now that's going to say, wait a second, Dana White wants him to come here and wanted him to come here when John Gruden was here, and John Gruden put an end to that. Mark Davis wanted it to happen. So it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know what tampering and illegal blah, blah, blah stuff is, but let's say they all tamper and do illegal stuff all the time, that somewhere there's been a conversation where the two have met in a room. They did have Dana White did arrange a meeting between the two where they met in a room back when Gruden was coach to try to get him here back then. But I think Brady's time has passed. Here's why. You're going to have, if you take that $35 million, you sign a Tom Brady, you get an offensive line. They need to upgrade their offensive line. They got some guys working hard doing some good things there, but they got to step that up for a Tom Brady. That's been part of Derek Carr's problem this year, has been an offensive line that's been ineffective, and he's not a scrambling quarterback. Baker Mayfield's more mobile out of the pocket. Zach Wilson, more mobile out of the pocket.
I don't like Wilson or Mayfield.
I don't either. No. I mean, I can see negatives with both of them, but
Aaron Rodgers would be a slam dunk. That would be a touchdown, so to speak.
The top two that we mentioned right there would be I think
Garoppolo would be a nice sign. This is a guy who made it to the Super Bowl. He obviously is still very capable.
Won playoff games.
Yes.
Now they've had a great defense. They've got the number one defense in the NFL this year. They give up 15.3 points per game. They are rocking.
And he's, the ladies would like that signing. He's a pretty boy, right?
Would love.
Yeah, I sat next to Garoppolo. This was a couple years ago at a Golden Knights Thrashers game. I'm sitting up there in Hyde, and all of a sudden it's Garoppolo and Kelsey and these guys. They're sitting next to me, and I talked to him a little bit. He's a bit aloof, but we were talking a little bit about his Thrashers. That's where he grew up, and so we were talking a little hockey. He didn't really want to talk about anything else, which I understand. Little strange, little aloof guy, but. I will say this, the conversation the entire game that these 49er players were having with Garoppolo, because I could hear basically everything they were saying, it was all about getting laid. That's all they were talking about. That and
guys?
Yeah.
Talking about single guys? Talking about getting... No.
Yeah. That's what they were doing.
That is repulsive.
Can you believe it, Ron?
It's
a shocker, right?
1 second that would even be on their mind whether a nightclub in Vegas.
Maybe if Garoppolo gets signed, you could go take him to Little Darlings. Huh? Maybe you could do that.
I'm going to guess Garoppolo didn't have a very hard time. They don't even have to talk about that. It's
probably not. But anyway, we'll wait and see what happens. I love the idea of possibly getting Tom Brady just because a year or two he's here, and I think he can win right away. I think he's still good enough, and he's had a bad year. Most of that not his fault. I like the idea of drafting a young quarterback. Let Brady play here for a year or two, show him the ropes. I think that would work out great. Even though Brady and Josh McDaniels had their issues, they still won together. I think that's a positive. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I don't know.
Jared Stidham may be an option here. As crazy as that sounds, I can't believe I'm saying that, but he was a pretty good college quarterback in the sense that he played at Baylor, played at Auburn. While he was at Auburn, he beat Georgia and Alabama. Those are pretty good programs. So in the colleges,
that's true.
He's never had a chance to start. We have seen a guy who was the number 266 pick lead San Francisco in Brock Purdy the last few games. We've seen quarterbacks come out of nowhere and do some solid things.
Yeah, sure.
But okay, that's a long shot. I hope they have a plan, and they have to. When they mapped all this out, okay, I agree with you that at some point, if it wasn't week 4 or week 5, it was week 12 at least by then, that they sat in a room
earlier.
That they sat in a room and said, okay, Derek Carr is not a long-term solution. We got to get that $35 million. How do we do that? How do we make that happen? It was interesting. You look at Derek Carr in his press conferences. He was very careful in something he said in just about every press conference coming off a loss, where he would say, I'm throwing the ball right where Josh wants me to throw the ball. I'm putting it right where Josh wants me to put it. All I care about is putting it right where he wants me to put it. I'm getting the ball right where he made. I've never heard you got me going quarterback. It's in my head. I might use that on air tonight.
You should.
Just for fun.
You should.
And so he's been using that phrase though quite often. He used it all year long. He's used it like he's putting it back on the coach, saying, "I'm doing what he wants me to do, and if it's not working, look back at him." There are some issues between those two guys. There certainly is this week, but I think those issues started much sooner between Derek Carr and Josh McDaniels, and that's has led to this, and now the saving of $35 million. Derek Carr, let's go for a second with Derek Carr. And I just think he deserved better than this unceremonious benching happened. I think he deserved more because of what he did for the Raiders all these years. And
it's hard for me to feel bad for a guy that's making this kind of money, though, Ron.
No, okay, that's all relative, but yes. He's made 3 Pro Bowls. Again, I get it. 6 coaches in 9 years. He was a 68% completion percentage before Josh McDaniels got here. He now is at 60. So this is like Josh McDaniels creating the problem and then solving the problem and saying Derek Carr is the problem. Partly that.
Ron, the guy's never won a playoff game. He's never really won a game that really
They've only been in the
matters.
playoffs twice. The first one he was injured. In 2016.
I don't think he's as clutch as people say he is.
I don't think so either. No, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But you better have something better, and they hopefully for the Raiders, they've already had these conversations again of whether they're illegal or not. They probably are.
I just when a lot of fans are echoing what you say. Oh, I don't like the way they've treated Derek Carr. He has made massive amounts of money. I know you said it's all relative, but he has been taken care of financially. They have backed him this whole time. It's now time for a change. I agree with this decision. You can argue that maybe something happened behind closed doors that was disrespectful. I don't know. What I do know is this is the right decision. There's no reason why Derek Carr should be out there. Why risk getting him hurt? The writing was on the wall anyway. He's not returning next year. Why not just sit him out? I'd like to see him on the sidelines because I think that would be the right thing to do as a teammate. But we don't know all the intricacies of this. I get it. It could have been Derek Carr and somebody needs to ask Josh McDaniels this after the game. Was it Derek Carr that went to you that said, I don't want to be a part here, I don't want to be a distraction? Or was it you that said that to him? Was it a mutual thing? I would like to know that.
Okay, let me go here. Here's knowing Derek Carr's personality and knowing what he's like, the conversation may have been at some point, what do you think? Should I even be here on the team for these last 2 weeks? Do you want me? What if he said to Josh McDaniels, do you want me here? I mean, what is that going to cause? And what is that going to mean during a game? And Josh McDaniels might have reacted to that with a, you know what? No, it's okay if you don't show up. Okay, I don't know. I want to hear that whether that conversation happens, and at some point we'll find out.
Wouldn't Derek Carr at that point say, "I want to be here for my teammates"? I know your argument, and you think it's a distraction and all that, but if you're a professional athlete, you want to be there for your teammates, and your teammates need to be professional.
He's not doing anything. He's not there for the team. What's he doing? Rah rah rah! Standing on the sidelines cheering.
Well, what do people on the bench do? What does the 10th, 11th, 12th man on an NBA bench do? That's what they do.
Yeah, you're starting quarterback on the.
Well, not anymore. Not anymore. I see it as someone that's injured. If you're an injured player I'll talk about your Lakers, Anthony Davis, LeBron James, whenever they're not playing, be a good teammate.
I disown the Lakers, by the way. Is that okay?
Did you? So you're a Celtics fan now? Is that what you're telling me?
I am more of yes. I do like Enes Kanter freedom. Yes, I do like him. Yeah, there's a Celtics player I could really like.
I like Kanter.
Let's go here. I think this is best for Derek Carr. And we haven't discussed this. I think this is best for Derek Carr. He's going to land on his feet somewhere, and he's maybe with something that will light up the rest of his career, and he'll make a lot more money in the second half of his career with another team, and we'll see him shine. I hope so. I'd like to see him go somewhere and succeed next year. I don't know where. I have no idea, but there's a lot of teams that need quarterbacks.
There are a lot of teams that need quarterbacks. What do you want to see from this, before we take a break, Ron, what do you want to see from this team this weekend? I mean, if anything, what do you want to see? What do you expect to see?
What I expect to see, what I want to see are two different things. they're not going to score a lot of points against San Francisco. This, again, like I said, number one defense in the league. Oh, here's what I'd like to see. Watch Josh Jacobs this weekend closely. San Francisco gives up only 75 yards a game on the ground. They are number one in the NFL in total yards given up, the fewest, and in rushing yards, the fewest. And I want to see how Josh Jacobs can do against the best rushing defense in the league. That'll be interesting to me.
I think so.
And to see what Jason Statham can do at quarterback.
How many hungover people will be in Allegiant Stadium on Sunday?
No. Hungover, yes. Here's the other part that concerns me, and I'm talking to Metro now. You cops that are out there, listen up. This was a rivalry that was banned by the NFL in 2011 because there were riots in the stands, in the parking lots. There were knifings, there were shootings, there were people knocked unconscious at a preseason game at Candlestick Park between the Oakland Raiders and the San Francisco Raiders. So the NFL said no more preseason games between the Raiders and the Niners because of the battle in the Bay and the rivalry between the two teams, and they don't get along. The players were fighting on the field. I want to see love at home at Allegiant Stadium. I want to see peace and togetherness between these two teams. I hope, though, there's extra. That's not going to happen. There better be extra security.
What do you think of that Patriots fan? You know that story of the Patriots?
Yes.
I had him on the other day, by the way. And then Kraft invites him to New England.
I thought that was classy of him to do that. I'd like to find that chick.
I would too. I think it was Michelle Fiore.
You think it was?
Yeah.
It was hard to see her face. But,
Laura Herbert.
They would not have done that.
Very classic. Yes.
They would have guns.
Yeah, you're probably right about that.
So no, but no, I was so glad to see the way he reacted. I was never more embarrassed. Well,
he's a great guy, by the way. I had him on for a half an hour.
Good for you for having him on.
Kraft, invited him to the game. They're sitting in his suite, and Kraft hands over the phone and he talks to Jay-Z. I just think that guy. That's a great story. Raiders fans, no fan should ever act like that, and it's despicable. It's disgusting. I give the Raiders credit for reaching out to him as well.
Reaching out to him and apologizing on behalf of her. I mean, if you've seen the video, you know what we're talking about. Some lady that was yelling just in the face at the end of the Patriots game, and he stood there calmly,
terrible,
and just looking at the field. Now he could. Again, if it was two dudes doing that, it might have been a different outcome. I'm not going to speak, but it was a lady who was doing it, and so
he handled it perfectly.
He handled it perfectly.
Yeah, he really
and just looked straight ahead. He didn't even really acknowledge she was there, but she was there and she was loud. I hope I mentioned Dana White already. It'd be nice to see Dana White get him out here for a UFC thing.
That'd be cool.
Patriots fan.
He deserves it.
This is
He absolutely deserves it.
Honor a fan that does that.
He deserves it.
We need to, and it was good to have him.
And he's coming to the Pro Bowl. He told me that's the game that he chose. So maybe you can catch up with him.
I would love to.
Yeah, he's coming out to. I'll give you his information. He's coming out to the Pro Bowl, and he's taking the Raiders up on that. And I find it interesting. He's not choosing a Raiders game. He's going to the Pro Bowl.
Well,
but I think that's pretty cool. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Mr. Ron Futrell, the man, the myth, the legend, Channel 8 Sports. He's a busy man, but he's going to be sticking around for another segment. Ron is anchoring Channel 8 Sports tonight. Ron, we got a lot more to get to. We got to the Raiders stuff. What about UNLV basketball? That was a tough loss last night. We'll